Hello, everyone. This is the legend, Mike Wilkerson, your host of Sooner Legends podcast. And boy, do I got a good one for you today. This is about the man, the myth, the legend, our legendary coach, Barry Switzer, my all time favorite coach. But before we dive into it, I want to thank you for pulling up. Uh, like this video, subscribe, share with your friends, comment. That way it helps push the algorithm of YouTube. And also, this video is being brought to you by Devil Dogs Brew and Beans. The owner is a former Marine, combat vet, and he distributes his own coffee. You can get French roast, cowboy blend, breakfast blend. There's tons of blends that I'm sure you will like and enjoy when uh, when you place your order. And when you do place your order, enter promo code Sooner Legends, where you will get 10% off your first order, free shipping, and as soon as your ground beans are ground and roasted, they will be shipped to you immediately. And also, for every dollar you spend with Devil Dogs Brew and Beans, a portion of the proceeds goes to the Wounded Warrior Project, which is a win win. You get some great, fabulous coffee while helping out our vets in needs. Salute to you, Devil Dog. Thank you for your service, sir. Appreciate everything you do for the vets out there. Okay, let's get into this. Barry Switzer, the man, the myth, the legend, whatever you want to say. My all-time favorite coach. Coached at OU from 73 to 89. He was born October the 5th of 1937 in Crossett, Arkansas. And he was a bootlegger's boy, but we're not going to dive into that. I do not dive into people's personal business that who I cover on my videos. That's not my forte. That will never be my forte. I just I just talk about what made them either a legendary coach or player at OU. Personal stuff I don't dive into. That ain't none of my business. Will never be none of my business. So there's a public service announcement for you. So carrying on, he played for the University of Arkansas from 1956 to 1960, where he was the center and linebacker under legendary coach Frank Broyles. He was a member of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity, and during his senior season of 59, he was one of the Razorbacks tri captains of that year. Uh, Arkansas went on to a 9-2 record, a share of the Southwest Conference Championship, where they uh, got a victory over Georgia Tech in the 1960 Gator Bowl. And the final ranking for the Razorbacks that year was number 9 in the polls. And that was Frank Broyles' second year as head coach. He did a stint in the Army. And then after he got out of the Army, he became an assistant to Frank Broyles. So when Gomer Jones uh, was fired in 65, OU hires Jim McKenzie from Arkansas, and McKenzie brought with him Chuck Fairbanks and Barry Switzer as assistants at OU. And of course, we all know if you grew up in that time, while on a recruiting trip in 67, Coach McKenzie passed away from a massive heart attack, where and Chuck Fairbanks became the head coach at OU and retained Barry as an assistant. And let's see, one of Barry's claim to fames. Let's go back to 1970s, shall we? We have the week of the bye, and Barry Switzer, coach Switzer, uh, goes to Chuck Fairbanks and tells him he wants to switch the offense from the Houston Veer to the Wishbone, which they did. And of course, we got our butts kicked by Texas, but that was the last time Darrell Roll ever beat Barry Switzer while he was head coach at Texas. Uh, let's see. Turn my notes over here. And he also developed and perfected the wishbone while he was at OU, making it a premier rushing offense in college football. Uh, under Coach Switzer, the Sooners set an NCAA rushing record of 472 yards per game in 71 and scored over 500 points in two different seasons in 1971 and 1986. That that is awesome. That's why I love Coach. One of the many reasons I love Coach. After after the 1972 season, Coach Fairbanks went to coach for the New England Patriots. So for the 1973 season, Coach Switzer was named the head coach. However, due to some outlandish stuff, I'm not even going to mention it. Go look it up yourself. But we got put on probation from 73 to 75, so you won't see any highlights of them OU Sooners on YouTube because we got put on probation. They took away our TV rights. We couldn't win we couldn't go to a bowl game or any of that. But however, uh, during this time, uh, Coach Switzer did. There was a couple of head coaching vacancies available that Coach Switzer did interview for. It was for Michigan State and SMU. But a quote I found in one of my books. He was such a successful coach that a newspaper article in '79 come out that stated Barry Switzer was the high priest of what Billy Sims describes as the church of OU football. And of course, we all know that the church of OU is Barry Switzer. Uh, in 72, in 73 and 74, Coach Switzer led the team to undefeated seasons in both years, which in 73, if you remember, we went to the Coliseum and played Southern Cal and tied that game, which John McKay was the coach for USC, and they had that almighty Sam Bam Cunningham, if y'all remember him. Which, if you don't know who Sam Bam Cunningham is, he's the older brother of NFL quarterback Randall Cunningham. Little fun nugget for you. Let's see here. Uh, during in during Coach Switzer's reign, tenure, whatever you want to call it, at OU, he led us to a back-to-back national championship in 74 and 75, and his last one was 85. And Coach also led us, our Sooners, to where we won outright or shared Big Eight titles from 1973 to 1980. And during Coach Switzer's 16-year tenure at OU, he he won 8 of the 13 postseason bowl games, And 54 of his players was selected as All Americans. Fascinating little piece, ain't it? Coach was awesome. I love him. Another little fun fact for you against opposing coaches. We're going to start out with Tom Osborne, legendary coach for Nebraska, whom I respect dearly. Barry was 12-5 against Coach Osborne. He was 5-3 against Jimmy Johnson. He was 3-0 against Bobby Bowden at Florida State. And then he was 3-0-1 against Darrell Royal at Texas. And then he was 1-0 against Joe Paterno of Penn State, Bo Schembechler of Michigan, and Woody Hayes of Ohio State. So they never did get. We're 1-0, and we play Michigan in 2005 or 2025. I'm sorry. Another little nugget for you about Barry is along with Benny Owen, Bud Wilkinson, and Bob Stoops, he is one of 4 coaches to win over 100 games at OU. Now here's a little interesting piece. If you're saying OU is not a blue blood program, they are. No other college has 4 coaches that is coached for them with wins over 100 games. The most right now is 3. And it looks like Kirby Smart in Georgia may join that 4 coach winning 100 game program at Georgia. But right now, OU is the only university that has a total of 4 coaches with over 100 games that is coached at their university. Sorry. Barry's overall record at OU was 157, 29, and 4. That man hardly lost. He won 3, like I said, he won 3 national championships in 74, 75, and 85. He won outright or shared Big 8 titles from 73 to 1980, and again in 1984 and 1987. He was also a coach for the Dallas Cowboys that also won a Super Bowl in Super Bowl 30. And he's one of 3 coaches that have won national championships at their respective schools and won a Super Bowl, that being Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, and Pete Carroll. Just thought I'd throw that nugget in there. Some coaches who came and coached for Coach Switzer, one of them being Mac Brown, who was our offensive coordinator in 1984. Of course, we all know Mac as the former head coach at the University of Texas and is the present coach of North Carolina Tar Heels. Galen Hall, who was a legendary offensive coordinator at Oklahoma, he coached for Florida from 84 to 89. Mike Shanahan. We all know who Mike Shanahan is. He coached at the Raiders from 88 to 89, the Denver Broncos from 95 to 2008, and the Washington Redskins from 2010 to 2013. He was assistant under Barry Switzer in 1975. And of course, Mike Zimmer, who coached at Minnesota Vikings from, let's see, 2014 to 2021. He was assistant under Barry at Dallas from while Barry was head coach at Dallas. And for you Georgia fans, Jim Donnan, who coached from for Marshall from 1990 to 1995, and again the Georgia Bulldogs, uh, 1996 to 2000. Jim Donnan was our legendary offensive coordinator during that 85 run until 1989. So there's a little piece for you Georgia fans. So as we all remember, Coach Switzer, we all knew that he was charismatic, down to earth country boy. For as legendary as his coaching career at OU and Dallas was, his recruiting was even legendary, more legendary. Uh, I gave you a piece on Billy Sims uh, when he went to Arkansas and was recruiting Keith Jackson, our tight end here. He goes to Gladys Jackson's house and sits on the couch. And now I'm quoting this from Keith Jackson in an episode I watched of Keith Jackson. He takes his loafers off, and Gladys apparently said that he was the first white man to ever take his shoes off in her house. Now that is quoted from Keith Jackson, but Barry didn't talk football with Keith Jackson. Him and Keith Jackson's mama got to talking about food, more especially hot water cornbread and grits and greens and all that good food. And Keith Keith stated that they sat there and talked for over an hour about food and food alone, nothing about football. But as Barry is leaving, he looks at Gladys and says, "Gladys, if you send Keith to OU, he will be treated good, and I will love him like a son." And that's all he said, and he walked out. And Gladys, from what Keith Jackson said, was a die-hard Arkansas Razorback fan, big time. And she looked at Keith and she said, "If you don't go to the University of Arkansas, I want you to go play with him." And of course, Keith did come to play with OU. And of course, everybody's heard the stories of Barry pulling up to the house to he'd see what beer cans was in the trash can and he'd go buy a 6-pack for the dad and stuff like that. And so, well, I'm going to end this video. Uh, Hop down in the comments, tell the old legend what you think about Barry, because I loved him. He entered. He was my first head coach, or yes, I started following OU when he was still an assistant under Chuck, and he was my first head coach as a fan watching football. So he he's on. I got him way up yonder as a head coach in college football. But hop down in the comment. Tell us what you think. Tell the old legend what you think about Barry. And on your way out, hit the like, subscribe. That way it helps push the algorithm of YouTube. And as always, uh, God bless all of my subscribers. I'm up to 73 and we're growing every day. So God bless y'all. This is the legend. We'll see you on the backside.